Thursday, Parshas Pinchas, Shiva Usa B'Tammuz, Tovshim Pai Vuv, July 2nd, 2026. My name is Gershy Schwarcz, and I'm your host with the news of the last 24 hours on Edge.
Your daily report of the news of the last 24 hours, powered by Yiddish24, provided to you by The Click.
Hakol Bakol, I'm wishing everyone an easy and meaningful Tanis. Today, the 3 weeks begins. The Tanis is over today in Monsey, about, it already ended in Netzisruel in London or in Europe and all the other places that people listen to me here on Edge. But in Monsey, for those who didn't, still fasting, 9:09 is the earliest Zman, but 9:14 is according to Moshe Feinstein, and 9:24 is the 70. And Williamsburg, the 70 is 9:21, and 9:12 is the 60. Lakewood, 9:19 and is the 70, and 9:10 is the 60. And the Catskills, and it's pretty late, 9:28 p.m. is the 70, and 9:18 for the 60. All right, let's continue. Today's news is sponsored to you by Lemonade, the supermarket in the Catskills. Kosher skinny shots for those of you who want a better lifestyle, good investment in your lifestyle. My Home Finish, a good investment in covering your windows with shades and blinds. Halo 2, high-functioning water. You can find this in any of your grocery supermarkets in America. At least, I don't know yet in Europe. Still finding out. A 60-day countdown to the final US-Iran deal starts today, but the talks are already paused for the funeral. Which funeral? Of Ali Khamenei. And Iran is already threatening to break the deal. Great news from Israel. The group of missing Yidden, Resel Chassidim, have been found safe and sound this morning. Russia just hit Kiev with its biggest attack of the entire war. The last 5 years. We could say 5 years already. At least 21 people are dead. And OpenAI, the ChatGPT company, is offering the US government 5% stake of the company, which is worth about $42 billion. All this and way more here on Edge. But first, Lemonade Supermarket, the kosher supermarket from the Catskills in Liberty, New York, upstate New York. The grocery store supplies organic produce, baked goods, as well as sushi and pizza, and they have a deli. Today is Thursday night. On-site parking. Like I said, they have a bakery. 261 North Main Street, Liberty, New York. You can call them on 845-218-1244. They accept EBT. They also do free delivery. Call them today if you want to make an order. The Catskills. Call Lemonade. Again, the number is 845-218-1244. So, the talks between America and Iran in Doha are finished. And now a 60-day clock is running to reach the final deal. But the clock is already stopping for a few days, from July 4th to July 9th, for the funeral of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and also because America has asked because of the 250th birthday. After the funeral, both sides plan to open a hotline, telephone line, and keep talking. A quick reminder of who we're talking about here. Khamenei, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the spiritual leader for many Shias in the Muslim world, was killed at basically, I think 86 years old, at his own compound in the middle of Tehran on Shabbos Zuch. For those of you who remember the first day of the war, the funeral was pushed off until today because of the fighting. Till now, he was kept in a morgue, in a fridge, a freezer. And Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammad Ghalibaf, the one who's negotiating, right, is turning that funeral into a rally, calling the entire country, the whole country, to show up and demand what he called blood vengeance. His words, "The nation's call for vengeance must ring in the ears of the entire world. And we know exactly what revenge he has in mind." Just 2 weeks ago, he spelled it out loud. The true way to avenge the martyred Imam is the liberation of Yerushalayim. He picked quite a day to threaten Yerushalayim. I picked a day to tell you the news, picked on today. Shavuos B'Tammuz is the day we mourn the walls of Yerushalayim being broken through. We could turn this into an opportunity. Hashem wants us so badly that he breaks the walls of Yerushalayim. Come through it. Good way to think of it. Anyway, point is that we have to yearn for Yerushalayim and HaKodesh to be built in its yoifi and in its beauty, and Mashiach Tzidkani should gather us all together. And here is what the same Ghalibaf's life looks like behind the scenes. The New York Times is reporting that this spring, Iran gave him and Foreign Minister Arakchi military escorts and kept changing their travel plans at the last minute, after America passed along warnings that Israel might kill the two of them in the middle of the negotiations. One time, Ghalibaf's plane made an emergency landing in Martyred. Iranian security got word that two Israeli fighter jets had crossed into Iranian airspace to go after his aircraft. So the man calling for vengeance is the same man hiding from Israeli jets. Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, sent a very clear message to Tehran. He said that Iran's supreme leader, Mujtaba Khamenei, is marked for death. Iran is furious. Their foreign minister warned of an immediate and powerful response. He even told the US to, quote, muzzle its pets in Tel Aviv. The threats are flying, and as always, while the politicians talk, the militaries prepare. And look who's coming. Russia is sending former President Dmitry Medvedev as Putin's personal envoy. China, you know, the one who always speaks about nuclear, giving nuclear to Iran? China is sending a top lawmaker, didn't name them. India is sending its deputy foreign minister. And Pakistan's prime minister himself, Shehbaz Sharif, who led the talks in the peace, will be there in person. Around 30 countries. Yes, in all, with crowds pouring in from Iraq, Afghanistan and Pakistan. Iran expects up to 20 million people, the biggest state funeral in the country's history. The one person who might not show up, obviously, is Mujtaba Khamenei, the son, the one and only, the new supreme leader. He was wounded in the same strike that killed his father, and he hasn't been seen or heard in public once since the war began. I guess he's worried about the special offer, buy one coffin, get one free, that the US and Israel have basically coming his way if he does indeed show up. And the two sides are still far apart. That same parliament speaker says international inspectors will absolutely not be allowed into the bombed nuclear sites, the exact opposite of what President Trump is demanding. Satellite pictures show why the inspectors matter. The tunnels at Iran's Isfahan nuclear site are still packed shut with dirt. Iran filled them earlier this year to protect the enriched uranium believed to be buried deep inside. Money is the other fight. Iran claims that up to $3 billion is being released for food and medicine, and American officials say flat out that no money is moving. And then there is the Strait of Hormuz, where Iran wants to change every passing ship at all. They want to charge, every passing ship at all, claiming that the Strait is its own. The Strait of Hormuz is its own water. It belongs to Iran, while America and the Gulf countries insists it's an international waterway. The American offer on the table is corporate and is basically like this: cooperate, and the deal removes financial sanctions worth 100 times more than any toll. Trump pointed out that 19 million barrels of oil left the Persian Gulf yesterday, and he added that after 60 days, he can do whatever he wants. A member of the Iranian delegation answered that Tehran is prepared to destroy the American economy. And despite saying all that, the opposite is happening. Fuel prices around the world are falling fast. Oil is moving through the Middle East again. Global oil prices just had their biggest drop since 2020, and diesel saw its biggest monthly drop in 26 years. How amazing is that, right? Sometimes you can find light at the end of the tunnel. On Truth Social, Trump wrote, "Just as I promised, oil prices are plummeting fast, and gas prices at the pump are dropping too, but not as fast as they should be," he said. He added, quote, "Gas prices will soon be back to the record low prices Americans enjoyed at the pump." He meant his own presidency. And to mark America's 250th birthday, a company called the Freedom Fuel Network is dropping prices at 25 stations around Philadelphia on July 3rd. Trump praised them and told other companies to do the exact same. The US and Israel have signed a deal for a permanent American embassy in Jerusalem, and the rent is not more than $1. Yes, that's the whole lease. 99 years, $1 for the land where America will build its permanent embassy compound. At the signing, Ambassador Mike Huckabee expressed his religious beliefs regarding the city's history, saying that God made the decision to recognize Jerusalem 3,800 years ago, and now America is acknowledging it too. Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar called the United States indispensable, and no other country can even take its space. In Israel today marks 1,000 days since the October 7th massacre, Simchas Torah massacre, and the families turned it into a day of protest. The October Council, which is a group of bereaved families, which are, families grieving, and families of the former hostages, led crowds to the Knesset and to the homes of the government ministers, demanding a state commission of inquiry into how they allowed October 7th to happen, something the government still hasn't set up. 1,000 days later, it got heated. Protesters clashed with police and accused them of using force to break up the crowd. But most of the day was quiet, memorials, silent protests, and a moment of silence at 10 in the morning. Near the Gaza border, a convoy drove through the hard-hit communities, and the Takuma administration, the government office rebuilding the area, says the final groups of displaced residents are getting ready to come back home again to their yeshuvim. Now to the Gzedas Agis, and this is interesting. Wednesday evening, hundreds of Vishnitzer Avreichim from Bnei Brak gathered outside the Justice Ministry in Yerushalayim to protest the arrests of Bochurim. I said it yesterday, I think. No chanting, no blocked roads, just 1 hour of uninterrupted Torah learning. They called the Cry of Torah. Listen to the Kol Torah. You can listen to it yourself. And inside the Knesset, the big vote happened. The basic law protecting Torah study passed its first reading. 63 votes to 53, with Prime Minister Netanyahu himself coming down to the actual compound to vote for it. The law declared Torah study a fundamental value of the state, the legal shield meant to protect Bochurim from the draft. The coalition is racing to finish it before the Knesset dissolves in the middle of July, ahead of the elections that must be held by the end of October. It's not a done deal, because 4 coalition members voted against it. The legal establishment is fighting it, and the opposition promised to cancel it the moment they form a new government. 2 more hearings and it becomes actual law. Chok Yesodi, they call it. Now, let's talk about your shades. Premium shades, premium windows, premium window shades, unbeatable prices and zero compromise. My Home Finish offers all of these and more. Customers come back for the prices, they come back for the service, and they never come back for the quality. And because they're the top leading brand, they can allow themselves to mass produce, which gives them the opportunity to be cheaper than 90% of their competitors. You can call them today. They service Monsey, Monroe, upstate New York as well, the Catskills, and even the New York City area. Ask them about New Jersey. Hundreds of 5-star reviews, people with happy, people are very happy with their shades. Blinds, shades, curtains, 845-372-6613. 845-372-6613. info@myhomefinish.com. In Gaza, an Israeli drone killed a Hamas commander and 4 of his terrorists. They were planning attacks on Israeli troops. Now, this strike caught them near a hospital and a fuel station. So the first reports out of Gaza said that 3 Palestinians were killed. Turns out those 3 Palestinians were exactly this terror cell. The Israelis also bombed a huge tunnel infrastructure that apparently, I think I told you the story yesterday, that was underneath hospitals, underneath mosques, underneath regular schools in the whole of Gaza. A huge tunnel for 10 years. Hadar Golden's body was held there for 10 years as well. So that's where I guess the Hamas held their hostages. Huge tunnel. They filled it up with 30 tons of cement, I think. And the group planning Gaza's future, the Board of Peace, the international body set, this is set up to run the rebuilding, put out a statement that UNRWA, the UN's Palestinian Refugee Agency, has no place in the new Gaza. Now, to that story from Yehuda V'Shomron, which I told you about in the beginning, and Baruch Hashem, it ended very well, Benes. A group of about 10 Breslov Chassidim went missing overnight inside the Palestinian village of Mukmas. And for a few hours, everyone feared a kidnapping. New reports say that the story started with a police chase. Officers tried to pull their car over, and the group drove off, and they ended up inside the village, where their car crashed, and local people, local Arabs, started throwing stones at them, like they usually do in those places. They called security forces, saying that they felt threatened, and then contact was basically lost. They lost contact with them. The army took no chances. Special forces, the Shin Bet, and a combat helicopter went in, and the roads around the village were blocked. By morning, every one of them was found alive and safe. The military confirmed it. No terror attack and no kidnapping. Yesterday, we reported the terrible murder of Hatzadik HaMekibel Reb Amos Goeta in Netanya, and Wednesday, which happened on Wednesday. And Wednesday, Netanya said, basically, wished him goodbye by making thousands of Yidden walked with the mitzvah for 6 hours from the hospital there, Laniado Hospital, which is in Kiryas Tzans, past his own besmedrish on Rechav Bar Yochai to the Kvira. Police say the attacker admitted to the actual stabbing, and he'll undergo psychiatric evaluation in the coming days. How terrible. What a terrible tragedy. So, let's talk about Halo. Halo 2, which is the high-functioning water. Halo 2. Now, beat the summer heat with real hydration. Halo 2 is a delicious, high-functional pH 9+ alkaline water. It flushes out toxins, cools inflammation, and helps your body recover fast. Great-tasting water, exactly when you need it. Find Halo 2 at your local grocery stores today, even in lemonade. You can find it everywhere. Halo 2, high-functioning water. A 37-year-old woman from upstate New York is facing up to 20 years in prison for trying to fund Islamic terrorists. The Justice Department says that Catherine Beth Washburn, her name is Washburn, tried to send $30,000 in cryptocurrency to Palestinian Islamic jihadists. Prosecutors say she made about 80 transfers to someone she believed was a terror fighter and wrote a message saying she wished every day was October 7th, and she was arrested and officially charged with supporting terrorism. New York is heading up into a brutal stretch of heat. Forecasters say that the city could hit 100 degrees Fahrenheit for the first time since 2012, right before July 4th, with a heat wave covering the Midwest, the East, and the Northeast. Emergency plans are active in the city. Connecticut turned on its extreme heat plan, and Mayor Zohran Mamdani is catching heat of his own for telling New Yorkers to set their air conditioners to 78 degrees. Critics want to know why regular people should sit in 80-degree homes to save energy while Times Square stays lit 24 hours a day, and his office is obviously fully air-conditioned, on the lowest number probably. Over in Europe, the heat has already killed more than 2,100 people, over 1,000 in France, and in Spain alone also, and a third heat wave is on its way to England, they say. Can you believe this? Terrible. Hashem finds his ways to kill people. By earthquakes, wars, or maybe sometimes heat. Oh, isn't this a wake-up call? Nothing happens in the world for nothing. It's a wake-up call for every one of us, and it's in our own way. I'm not going to tell you for what. You have to find out yourself for what. An update on Nancy Guthrie. A lot of you have been asking me about this news, and now it came up in the news again. Yes, the missing 84-year-old mother of the TV host Savannah Guthrie. The FBI basically says that all ransom notes were fake, just people trying to basically take advantage of it and grab some money. Even so, the case is still being investigated as a real kidnapping for ransom. And New York City is about to take away nearly 30,000 parking spots for garbage bins. Giant containers called Empire bins meant to finally get the black garbage bags and the rats off the sidewalks. Mayor Zohran Mamdani is moving ahead with it, and don't expect those parking spots back anytime soon. The full rollout runs until the year 2032. Yesterday there was an incident, wouldn't call it an incident, some people did some stunt and they crawled up to the antenna of the Empire State Building, some sort of proposal, an engagement proposal, on the Empire, and they put up a massive flag, something with freedom, something about freedom. No protest, no free Palestine, just a freedom thing, peace. Kosher skinny shots makes peace with your body. Yes, you need to lose some weight, or you want to maintain your weight. It's a good investment. 845-456-8924. Ask your doctor. For more information about this, and obviously call Kosher Skinny Shot, you can visit them on www.kosherskinnyShots.com. Or the thinwellnessclub@gmail.com. That's their email address. Again, the number is 845-456-8924. You can still call my number on 845-671-1775. Press 5. Leave your name and telephone number very clearly after the beep with your name and Kosher Skinny Shot on Edge, and you will enter to win a free month. Okay, an update on the new Air Force One we told you about yesterday. Trump used it to open the brand new Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library in North Dakota, arriving on a special train called the Freedom 250 that followed Roosevelt's own route. At the event, he spoke with an AI version of Teddy Roosevelt and used the speech to warn that China is planning to take over the Panama Canal, promising America will not let that happen. Listen to this.
Keep your nerve and remember the nation comes first. You get it. I know you're not feeling yourself.
Well, I appreciate those words. Those words are fantastic. And I just want to say it's an honor to be with you today. We are making a little bit of a tour.
Speaking to an AI, the president, to Venezuela now, where the earthquake death toll has climbed to 2,295 people dead, with more than 11,000 people injured. Morgues are full. Tens of thousands of survivors are lying in tents. And rescue teams are calling the area a war zone, warning that disease comes next because there is no clean water. America is running the recovery. The State Department is leading it with search and rescue teams, and from Los Angeles County Fire, more than 900 American soldiers on the ground and military satellites mapping which buildings are safe and where the aid should actually go. An advance team from Israel, military and foreign ministry, landed Wednesday to help coordinate these search and rescue efforts. With their help, a 43-year-old security guard in Venezuela was actually pulled out alive from the rubble after being trapped under a collapsed 7-story building for 8 days. And they used special cameras to find him there. He was still alive. They're still trying to. I think they recovered him already, but they were trying to do it for 3 days. All of this is testing the brand new relationship between Washington and Caracas and Venezuela. Remember back in January, right? The American military forcefully removed Maduro after he cheated in the 2024 elections and after he became a threat to the United States of America, and Vice President Delcy Rodriguez took over. Many Venezuelans are furious at the new government, saying it completely failed the rescue. And there is political fight on the top of the rubble as well. Maria Corina Machado, the opposition leader whose party defeated Maduro, is trying to come home to help, and she can't get in. One plane was turned around in mid-flight over a miscommunication with the US, and on Sunday, an airliner blocked her from boarding a flight from Panama. She says the Venezuelan regime, Maduro, closed the airspace to keep her out, and to keep out rescue teams as well and journalists. The Trump administration sees it differently. Officials are calling her return attempt political opportunism, saying she wants a photo op with the aid. Officially, America is taking no side on whether she goes back, and everyone expects her to try again soon. Russia just hit Kiev with the biggest attack of the entire war, they say. At least 21 people are dead, including children. Close to 90 are hurt, and the numbers are still climbing. Russia fired 74 missiles and ballistic missiles, over 500 drones in one night. 28 of them ballistic missiles, like I said, and the most ever fired at the capital in a single attack. President Zelensky warned the public hours in advance that a massive strike was coming. And a record 52,000 people spent the night deep inside the subway stations while the explosions went on above them. Ukraine hit back that same night, striking one of Russia's biggest oil refineries east of Moscow, setting it on fire, along with more drone attacks deep inside Russia and occupied Crimea. Military and analysts say that Russia is already preparing the next round of cruise missiles. A listener asked me a good question. How was I so confident saying that Putin would never drop a nuclear bomb on Ukraine? So let me explain my thinking. First, it's not like sending another missile. Even in Russia, one man can't just press a button, right? Launching a nuclear weapon goes through a chain. Codes, authorizations, top military officials who all have to go along with it, have to agree. Second, a nuclear bomb doesn't stay where you drop it. The poison in the air drifts wherever the wind takes it, including right back over Russia's own border. He'd be poisoning land he claims belongs to him himself. Third, the whole world flips on him in 1 second. Not just America and Europe. Even his own friends, China and India, both warned him publicly, no nuclear weapons. He'd lose the only partners he has left. And of course, the other nuclear powers would have to respond. And nobody, including Putin, wants to find out what that looks like. So that's why I said it with confidence. And he can threaten all day, but that's a line that costs him everything. So nuclear powers today have a very, very it's not really so powerful at the end. It's not such a powerful threat because of these threats, because it's essentially a threat to themselves. Besides a crazy regime like Iran, who we can't trust, and they could that's what they want. They want to use it. They would use it. No questions asked. Even if it affects them, they would die to use it. Syria has its first parliament since Assad fell. 210 seats, 140 chosen through local elections over the past month, and 70 picked personally by the president himself. President is Ahmad al-Shara, the man who used to go by his war name al-Julani back when he led an armed Islamic group tied to Al-Qaeda, same group that threw Assad out. Among his picks are those about 15 women, which is very unusual for an Islamic country. But he's doing it as a sign that he wants to be a democratic country again. The parliament holds its first session on Monday. Syrian foreign minister also traveled to Beirut right after President Trump suggested Syria should fight Hezbollah. He met Lebanese President Joseph Aoun and then Parliament Speaker Nabi Berri, one of Hezbollah's closest allies. In Thailand, an 11-year-old boy got behind the wheel of his parents' pickup truck and drove it into a procession of Buddhist monks. At least 8 of the monks were killed and 14 others were hurt, 10 of them seriously. Oy, Tata Zisa. What a terrible story that was. Anyway, let's continue. The answer is yes, if you ask me. YS Capital Group, the answer is yes. 718-831-2168. For a loan, if you want to borrow some money for an investment, a building, 718-831-2168. Arrive Express, 845-622-1111. Palm Tree, 845-254-1111. Take a taxi, wherever you need to go, upstate New York, Monsey, across the region, across the whole entire area. Protobyte is there for your services if you want to design software, websites. 347-354-1237. Check out their portfolio on proto-byte.com. Protobyte. And now we can continue. OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, just offered the US government 5% of itself. That stake is worth about $42 billion. CEO Sam Altman's pitch is simple. Let the public own a piece of the AI companies so that the public shares the wealth that AI creates. And Washington eases the pressure on the industry as well. Under his plan, the government would hold 5% of every top American AI company, Anthropic, Google, Meta, through a special public fund. Nobody has agreed yet, not the White House and not the other companies. So, we will see what happens. In the meantime, have an easy and meaningful fast, all of you. And may we be zoiche to see these 3 weeks turn into days of Simcha and Tisha B'Av into a Yom Tov. We'll see you again tomorrow, Metzshem, your host, Gershy Schwarcz.
Your daily report of the news of the last 24 hours, powered by Yiddish24, provided to you by The Click.